we still have these crucial infrastructure objects that were used, like the peaceful ones. I mean, like Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. And now they use it as basically a weapon. Russian war against Ukraine brought the nuclear armament issue to the surface. Completely new level. It's happening. Zaporizhzhia NPP is transformed into a military base. Kadyrov's combatants and the Russian military, they actually reside there.
Hello and welcome to Ukraine in Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center and NGO Euro-Atlantic Force. And I'm your host, Myroslava Yaremki. March 4th marked 2 years since Russian troops occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The state company Energoatom noted that Ukrainian nuclear workers continue to perform their duties under the pressure of the occupiers, ensuring the safe operation of the nuclear facility. Due to the actions of the occupation administration since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant has experienced 8 complete and 1 partial blackouts. During the 2 years of Russian occupation, the safety systems of Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant were degraded to such an extent that it can be dangerous even when it's not working. In today's episode, we're going to talk about Russia's constant nuclear threats, what to anticipate next at Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, and how the world entered the new phase of the nuclear arms race. If you want to learn more about this subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our videos in the future. Ivan Fedorov, the head of the Zaporizhzhia regional administration, said that Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant has been a source of nuclear threat to the whole world for 2 years. As a result of the hostilities around the facility, shelling is being recorded. The Russian military is keeping heavy equipment on the territory of the nuclear power plant, and the perimeter has been mined. The most vulnerable all this time are the residents of Energodar. In order to force them to cooperate, people were kidnapped and imprisoned. Up to 10 torture chambers operate in the city and on the territory of the nuclear power plant industrial zone, through which more than 1,500 residents of Energodar have passed. Valeriy, chairman of the UCMC board and ambassador extraordinary in Plenipotentiary of Ukraine, will talk more about the situation with nuclear power plants amidst constant Russian threats.
We have some very dangerous signals coming from Russia on bringing that technology and maybe arms to space. You know that recently Russia has blocked the decision of the UNSC on prohibition for that activity, despite the fact that there are certain international conventions and documents. Well, this is really something that is a threat, and all the countries are preparing their response. We still hear these new statements that agreements, especially in the part of strategic armaments, so these agreements are like maybe finalized now or later. So this process turns in a completely different direction. A couple years ago, we couldn't imagine that. And this global transformation context, in global opposition context, it has a new meaning. It's not about even... it's about those situations where any conflict can actually start using the mass destruction weapons. So we have some already confirmed cases when the chemical weapons were used by Russians in the territory of Ukraine, by the Russian army. So we have really a lot of official statements from Russian representatives, this nuclear blackmailing. And finally, we have... we still have these crucial infrastructure objects that were used, like the peaceful ones. I mean, like Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. And now they use it as basically a weapon, not just to in a conventional war, not just for the blackmail. At the same time, we can see, well, a lot of discussions are there in the world related to this. In Ukraine, we have these waves and spikes, yes, in informational space. But I think we still underestimate now We underestimate those challenges, and we don't use the position of our state as an active member of non-proliferation and control for nuclear arms. And a state which, let's not forget, political circumstances once led us to actually refusal from the nuclear weapon. Okay? Remember that we had the top third capacity in that term. So now we have these statements from the French president, Emmanuel Macron, on the nuclear umbrella for the Europe with the use of French nuclear arms.
It's obvious that with the beginning of the invasion of Ukraine, the main factor, primarily for the United States and NATO, was the presence of nuclear weapons in Russia. This made it necessary to build a further policy to support Ukraine and to contain the Russian Federation in such way as to keep this nuclear factor in sight at all times in order to avoid or reduce, if possible, the nuclear threat. Reducing such a threat is becoming increasingly difficult, as Russian nuclear blackmail has become a daily practice. Under such conditions, nuclear blackmail has specific goals and specific results. The danger is real because the whole world has faced such a phenomenon for the first time. For the first time, a nuclear power went to war against a neighboring non-nuclear power, using all available means except nuclear weapons. Former Minister of Environmental Protection and Nuclear Safety of Ukraine, Yuri Kostenko, will talk more about the new phase of the global nuclear arms race.
The democratic world that's united to assist Ukraine to help us to resist the Russian aggression. Well, this complex of failures led us to the following. It's already the second stage of nuclear arms race started. So it's not just something that Russia already is stating, with their plans to bring the nuclear arms to space. Other countries already mentioned this. Russia's statements that one can use nuclear arms against like France or just, what Macron is saying, what he tells, okay, remember that we have the nuclear weapon as well. So still, it's just a diplomatic exchange of these statements, but it's already a facade, and behind that facade some serious activities are taking place. Military nuclear programs will be designed there. So I remember the Sikorsky statement when the US Congress blocked the assistance. So Sikorsky said that this issue back then, so this issue is not just a problem. It's not just a problem for supplying us with weapons, but it's how can we ensure that Russia will not use its nuclear capacity? The nuclear umbrella issue, especially in the context of Trump's statements. Well, it's still not obvious if this umbrella will be put over the whole Europe, but Polish will start thinking of other things, how to defend themselves from nuclear Russia. These quite ambiguous statements from top officials definitely is a proof from my conclusion that it's already a new nuclear arms race. It already started. So just to finish this short review of what this may lead to, I can definitely claim that it's hard today to say what will be the end of Russian aggression in Ukraine. Yes, there must be an end to this process, and it will be ended by signing specific agreements, specific documents, and Russia will be the signatory as well. But the fact that Russian war against Ukraine it brought the nuclear armament issue to the surface. Completely new level. It's happening. Nuclear states, as we heard it, already are opening and launching new financial programs, actually to update their nuclear capacity, not just update, not just to modernize, but increase the destructive capacity, destructive potential. And it's not just something that happens in China and Russia, but also in the US and France, in so many other countries. And even in 2023, those countries who do not claim themselves to be nuclear, like Israel, Pakistan, and India, they started increasing substantially their nuclear capacities. So, Pandora's box is open officially.
There is a lot of evidence that Russia uses Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant as a military base. Last year, Greenpeace released a report based on data from military analyst McKinsey Intelligence Services. Such an evidence base is unique in the world so far. Ukraine specifically insists that the international community knows that Russia is engaged not only in nuclear blackmail as such, but also directly uses Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant to strike at Ukraine. There is a Smerch installation with a range of 120 kilometers. We are aware of strikes originated from there with the certainty that Ukraine would not retaliate to such attacks, and indeed it did not. Nuclear power expert Olga Kosharna will elaborate more on that.
And Russia is very active in IAEA as a member. So official notes and letters are sent with the figures about the drones, 270, 250, like they were hitting these and neutralizing in 3 months. More than 1,700 of drones they managed to hit, you know? So they just fall down. But there's no access for IAEA to check these falling sites, you know, collapse sites. They don't have access to the premises where the military equipment is kept. On the roofs, there are the spots that Russians used to shoot. We've known that since 2023. They mined the cooling pool and the gate. The intelligence told about that, yes? They mined the perimeter, basically. So Zaporizhzhia NPP is transformed into a military base, you know? Kadyrov's combatants and the Russian military, they actually reside there. They are moving around the spot more freely than IAEA representatives. So Russia is trying to normalize the situation. They're trying to turn it into a routine for everyone to get used to the fact that they actually are securing it. But based on various assessments, the deficit of personnel, instead of 1,000 people of operative staff for 5 shifts, they have 380, just 380. And with Ukrainian licenses, and again, Zaporizhzhia NPP is functioning now with Ukrainian license. If all the blocks are in this cold stop, as we can say, so it's still Ukrainian licenses, and 22 people who signed contracts with licenses out of 200.
You've been watching a special project by Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukraine in Flames. In the description under this video, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!